Okay, so at this time we're going to observe a moment of silence. Okay, and if we could stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I like it. Okay, so at this time, we are needing to consider nominations for our board chairman for the new year. Do I have any nominations?
Nominate Stephanie Rager.
Stephanie.
Everybody in agreement?
Yes.
Ms. Stephanie, are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Stephanie will be our board chairman, and then I get to turn it over to her.
All right. So now we will consider our nominations for our vice chairman. Do I have any nominations for vice chair?
Susan Wells.
I have a nomination by for Susan Wells.
I said that too.
So you second nomination?
I call her same.
All right, same. Okay. Well, we have two nominations on the floor for Susan Wells for vice chair. Is everyone in agreement for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congrats. All right. Well, as normal, we're going to just go down through here. So we'll move down now to our approval of our agenda. Are there any additions to add to our agenda tonight? If not, I will need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Who was first? Who was first? Oh, yeah. Okay, you are. All right, Wells and Bowers. All right. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none. We'll move down now to recognitions with Miss Embry. I think she has a few.
Well, good evening. Happy New Year, board members, and welcome you guests tonight. January is National School Board Recognition Month, and I'd like to thank you in this public setting for the service that you all provide for our school system. You are responsible for making decisions aimed at ensuring that every child in our district has a chance to succeed in school and in life. You are among the more than 850 school board members in the state. As a way of thanking you for your dedication and service, the Muhlenberg County School District has a few items to present to you, as you all have found when you came in tonight. You have before you a certificate of appreciation from the Kentucky School Boards Association, thanking each of you for your service. There is a thank you card that says, on behalf of the Muhlenberg County Board of Education, thank you for your service. And finally, the good stuff, you have a goodie basket filled with treats created by Miss Ashley Mefford's culinary class. And at the high school with a note that reads, it's a real treat to have you as a board member. Very small way of saying, as Miss Kim throws it in the floor. A very small way of saying thank you.
Thank you. They're beautiful.
Throughout this month, we hope that you feel especially appreciated for the work that you do. Each of you are being highlighted on our district Facebook page, and be on the lookout in our local papers. Thank you for representing each of the 5 districts that make up Muhlenberg County Schools. Thank you for your service to the students and staff of the Muhlenberg County School District. I'd also like to take just a moment to say thank you, and we're fortunate to have her tonight, to our recently retired Board Secretary, Sherry Miller, for the many years of preparing board meetings and board records.
Yes.
I didn't allow her to see that I put this in there. And to say welcome to her replacement, Miss Bridget Wells, who we know you will come to love and support as she fills this position. So welcome, Bridget. that's going to be all of my recognitions. I think Miss Stacy Jones has a lot more. But I would like to take a group photo of you board members right now. If you wouldn't mind to come down front and let me take that. Take 2 steps that way. I'll get you centered.
That's it.
You did great. All right, give me just a second to find you. All right, 1, 2, 3. Let me do one more. Get my flash. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll move down now to our treasurer's report with Mr. Blutzinger.
Thank you, Chairman Rager. Tonight I bring you the financials as of December 31st, 2022. Revenues, beginning balance was $32.5 million. This is up by $3.1 million. The monthly receipts are at $3.5 million. They are up $402,000 from last month and down $4.4 million from the same period last year as we received last year. SEEK is up $45,000, federal is up $48,000, state is up $121,000, taxes up $52,000, other is down $7,000, food service is up $99,000, and daycare is up $44,000. On the expense side, accounts payable was about $1.7 million. It is up approximately $366,000 when compared to the same period last year. It's construction. And the significant bills in December were Blue Mountain, which is part of the cafeteria renovation of $235,000 and $235,027. Muhlenberg County Sheriff of $139,921. This is for the SRO. That's an annual. A&K Construction of $94,802, and Carr Riggs and Ingram for the audit of $35,000. Payroll is at about $2.96 million. That is up $191,000 versus December of 21. Accounts payable breakdown, fixed and mixed expenses were about $655,000, variable expenses at $696,000, and utilities at $118,000. Come on, computer.
It's moved.
Is it moved? How much?
It's on accounts payable.
Well,
We're done.
all right then. This thing hates me. Well, I'll just go over it then.
Okay, let's go over it.
Total AP was about $1.5 million. And general fund was about $708,000. Fund 2, school activity fund, $197,000. Construction, $390,000. Food service and daycare, $174,000. And the balance, ledger balance at the close of the month. No, it's not. I'll just disconnect it. $38.175 million, a bank balance of $28.3, outstanding checks of about $723,000 for a cash balance at the end of the month of $27.6. Breakdown of December cash balance. General fund is about $24 million, and construction about $2.5 million. Those are the significant ones that are important, and food service at 2.4. The extended financial picture, the cash flow needs through May of 2023, with the addition of our December, we had the, additional revenue about 6.4 million. It should be about 41.3 million in May. I'm sorry, correction, let me step back 1 second. It should be about 35 million. I had the TVA revenue in there twice. Yeah, my apologies. So about 35 million. So are there any questions? And I'm sorry it didn't show up on there.
You need a bigger hammer.
Well,
Bigger hammer.
for that, yeah, apparently.
You said you did TVA there twice.
I did, I had it listed twice, and I apologize. I had it in there in February, and I had it in January also.
29 and if you add 6 on
So I pulled that out.
Yes,
So I apologize.
Okay.
I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Johar, second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I hear none. We'll move down now to payment of bills and salaries.
Let's see if I can get.
Look at that. All right. January board bills bring $889,762.25. Of that, utilities were $101,000, fixed and mixed expenses were $525,000, and variable expenses were $263,000. Significant payments were to Old National Wealth Management, which is debt service, of $254,000. Principal Environmental for the cafeteria of $107,000. Muhlenberg County Fiscal Court for $92,000, and Kaufman Home Decor for $47,745.
Are there any questions on bills and salaries? If not, I need them.
Sorry, I have a question. What's the Kaufman
It's for the cafeteria.
cafeteria? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Just
Any
want
other
to clarify
questions?
that it wasn't for home decor.
No, it's not Home Decor. I mean, it's the name of the company, but not for
What was it for?
cafeteria. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? If not, I need a motion to pay bills and salaries.
I make a motion.
I have a motion by Ms. Wells. Second by Ms. Bard. All in favor of paying bills and salaries, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. We'll move down now to public participation. Thank you. All right, and now we'll go down to the superintendent report. The personnel actions have been given to the board and the report will be placed in the minutes. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Orr.
Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Greenville. They are our spotlight for tonight, and they're going to share some great things that are going on at Greenville Elementary.
And I brought some helpers to do that. We've got Miss Ramsey, our fourth grade teacher, and she's also our new digital learning coach. And our school counselor, Whitney Key, along with some other staff members that are here with us. But some of Miss Ramsey's class came with us, so they can come on up here just a second while they're making their way up. I wanted to start out and talk to you all a little bit about the One Team, One Go. I've also sent you an email tonight just to share with you the list of who those donors were. We started this initiative this summer because for years, prior to me being principal, our PTSO, all of the fundraisers that we do at Greenville Elementary have always funded, or for many years, have funded field trips for our kids. So when other schools started funding school supplies, we thought that was wonderful, but we didn't have the funds to do that. Well, we actually got the idea because we had a few churches reach out to us and said, you know, we would really love to help. Is there anything we can do? So after talking and just brainstorming, we decided, you know, we're going to give stakeholders the opportunity if they want to. It's great. Well, it was amazing, their support. So I did provide that list because I wanted to share with you who was so generous, and we ended up funding all of the school supplies. So I don't know that we can continue that each year, but it's something that because of their generosity we were able to do. So I did want to share that with you. All right, let's turn it over to Ms. Ramsey. Oh, and then after that One Team, One Go, we did actually our school theme. This year is sports, so we felt like One Team, One Go, that was focused on our community, but it's also our school too, so it's turned into a sports theme for the school year. So we're having a lot of fun with that, so that's why our shirts have One Team, One Go. So our staff to coming together in our school, if you have a chance to visit, the decor is pretty cool that they've all put together to
to really make the school festive and fun for the kids. So we got that sports thing going all year this year.
I'm going to bring the students out here. So Greenville Elementary determined that we needed to work on self-regulation for staff and students. So we trained our entire staff this summer with WKEC on the zones of regulation. So I have some students here that are going to talk about that. So Elliot Bethel is going to talk to you about the blue zone.
When I'm in the blue zone, I'm sad, tired, or sick. When I feel this way, I sit alone and rest.
Good job. And then Aaliyah Dillard's going to talk to you about the green zone.
When I'm in the green zone, I feel happy, positive, and ready to learn. When I feel this way, I'm usually at school and working on my math.
Good job. And then Camden Osborne, he's actually Miss Jones's apprentice. So this is his first board meeting, and he's going to talk to you about the
I just want to
yellow
fill
zone.
in, at Fall Festival, he chose that over like snow cones or any other prize. He wanted to be my apprentice, so I'm excited that he chose that.
So you want to talk about the yellow zone?
When I'm in the yellow zone, I feel bullied, ableist, or confused. So what I do when I'm in the yellow zone to calm down, I take a break, and then I get on my iPad at my house.
So you take a brain break? Okay, good job. And then Tucker McGee-Sherrod, he's going to talk to you about the red zone.
When I'm in the red zone, I am aggressive, upset, and mad. When I am upset, aggressive, and mad, I run around to calm down and take deep breaths.
Good job.
Very good.
Got to brag on Tucker and Elliot just came from the academic meet tonight too. I think second place, guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you showed up. He was bragging his award earlier. Yeah, he
Now Reese Bogus is going to talk about upstairs and downstairs brain.
In science, we learned about how our brain has two parts. Our upstairs brain, and when we're in the green zone, and think before we act. Our downstairs brain is when we are in the red zone and sometimes act before we think.
So we launched off of that in our science lesson, and the students had a hands-on challenge. So they had to build a 3D freestanding house. It had a brain on the outside, so it was their brain house. And they had to make a circuit that would light up their upstairs brain or their downstairs brain.
All right, and this is something brand new. Miss Tanya Stovall, our new Family Resource Coordinator, she is not here tonight with us, but this is her creation. She wanted to create a place in the cafeteria where students could be recognized. So this is our Hard Work Cafe. How do you all get to be in the Hard Work Cafe?
We have to be Black Hawk of the Month, Teacher's Choice.
One way you could be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Teacher's Choice is another way, and the other way is doing hard work in our classroom.
And then what about on Fridays? Who gets to sit there on Fridays if they're...
The most attendance.
We always recognize our attendance with Hard Work Cafe, so they're really excited about that. But they get to either draw on the tables, and I think there's a TV in there.
Yeah, there is a TV.
So they have a lot of fun with that. Enjoy that. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
This is my favorite part of it.
I love it.
So the TV worked really well with Allison Ramsey, so for every board meeting.
It's just you, Eric.
I have one of these in my classroom, so.
Thank you, parents. Thank you.
You might need to learn from her.
Apparently. I can't seem to get it to work.
He's going to be a board member one day.
Tucker is such a good kid. I love it.
Hey, Tucker, we nominate you as a future board member.
His mom's okay.
Yeah.
He takes after his grandma. He takes after his grandma, right? I don't know about granddaddy.
Okay, so before we move to attendance and enrollment, I've asked Mr. Lyle to share a little bit about the work that we've continued with the Learner Center Design Team. So he's going to share a little bit about what we're doing with that.
I don't have a presentation or anything. Before I get into that, I just did come back from Bremen Elementary, and congratulations to Longest Elementary, who finished first in our district in quick recall. Greenville, who we just had some of those kiddos here, placed second. And I hope I don't make a mistake, South Elementary placed third. So I told them there that how impressed I was with the knowledge of our kiddos, and it was pretty neat to see. There was a lot of questions. This is my first year to do that, and they answer a lot of questions that I don't have the answers to. So, and I know that doesn't surprise you. So, as Ms. Orr stated, the Learner Center Design Team, that is made up of our district administrators, principals, and teachers across our district. And we met with Dr. Katie Martin from the Learner Center Collaborative. This is our second time that we met with Dr. Martin, and we are looking at the things that we're doing across our district. Now, what's very important is to understand that when we went into our classrooms, we were not looking for things we need to do better. We were looking for the strengths, the things that we're already doing well, and we found a lot of things that we were doing well. And so our teachers that day, the Learner Center Design Team, was able to go around to the different schools in our district visiting classrooms. I love that. Ms. Orr loves that, because I just heard a quote this week that said sometimes the best PD is in the classroom down the hall, and our teachers got to see that. So many times, by the time they've taught for 20 years, they may have never been in another teacher's classroom. So they had that opportunity, so they picked up nuggets along the way, but we also were able to celebrate the great things happening in the district. So with this design team, we are building our profile of a learner. And you will see some districts and even states will have portrait of a graduate, they'll have portrait of a learner. We went with profile of a learner, and the reason we went with learner over graduate is because when you think graduate, you think of high school student. You also only think of students. When we said profile of a learner, we're looking at all of us, adults included. We want to make sure that our students know we're learners as well. Our learning never stops, and so that's what we want to demonstrate. And so we will be bringing probably in the next month or so our profile of a learner to you. It's in the graphics work now, but I want to go ahead and share the 5 that we kind of settled on to be our main 5 things for our profile of a learner. 1 is a skilled communicator. 2, an engaged citizen. 3, an effective collaborator. 4, a creative problem solver. And 5, being an empowered learner. So those are the things that we want when we, as learners, that's what we should be modeling. Not only our students, but our staff as well, that we have all of those components to our daily work that we do each day. That's all I have, unless you want to add anything to that, Ms. Orr.
Tell just a little bit about like the conversation that day and continuing the learning walks. Okay,
yeah, so on that day, we were able to split up into groups, and so we had groups of 4, and we went to our different schools. And that group of 4, so for example, if they went to the high school, 2 of them went one direction, 2 went the other direction, and they just started visiting classrooms. We didn't schedule classroom visits. We wanted to see real instruction, what happens day to day. We got to see that. We didn't get the feel that they knew we were coming, so they were doing this special. We walked into classrooms where they're giving quizzes, and that's day-to-day work. So that was okay. There was no problem with that. But our teachers were able to go into those classrooms, and then before they left that school, they debriefed about what they saw. What were the great things that were happening in our district? Then at the end of the day, they ended up visiting 3 schools throughout the day. And from those conversations, our Learner Center Design Team, our teachers so enjoy being in other teachers' classrooms. they said, we need to make sure more teachers can do this. So from that, at the beginning of March, our principals are selecting another group of teachers that we're going to get out to go visit other schools. Our high school teachers were amazed at kindergarten classrooms. And it's just, you just want to pat those people on the back and give them a hug and say thanks for all you do. Our elementary got to see high school. And a lot of our elementary teachers, they walk into a classroom and now they're rock stars because their kids that they saw when they were younger have grown up, but they haven't forgot those teachers. So you got that positive component of it that just builds people's, I hate to say it, but ego, but just makes them feel good that they're not forgotten. So that was, I love the fact of teachers getting in classroom, and I love the fact that that was their idea to continue. And so we're going to continue to do that throughout, not just the rest of this year, but years coming up as well.
So our next step with that, with our profile of a learner, is we are going to look at, what does that look like in the classroom? What does it look like in a kindergarten classroom, a 5th grade classroom, a high school classroom, so that we can provide some examples and some strategies. But then also, what types of learning activities or teaching strategies would our teachers need to know how to do to implement and work on those competencies. So we're going to continue that work. This will be a multi-year, of course, project with those profile of learner competencies and looking at what that looks like and then how to support that in the classrooms and celebrate what we see after that. So.
And terms you might hear, we have the learner-centered design team, we have our deeper learning teacher team, we have our digital learning teacher team. Now and what we're making sure that we share, it sounds like that's 3 separate things and we've got 3 separate initiatives going, but it's all one thing. And it's able to get more teachers on board and just seeing it from a different side. So we're excited about that as well. Thank you.
Thanks. That's it. All right. We'll go down now to Mr. Hardison to our attendance and enrollment reports.
Thank you, Chairman. You have in your packets this report as well. It's the monthly reports for the first 5 months. And this ended on January the 6th. And so you can see there we had a rough month in month 4, and we recovered a little bit in month 5, some illness and things. And so we'd like to see that continue to climb a little higher. And I'm seeing better numbers on a daily basis, so I'm going to share with you in just a minute what we're looking at this particular week. But any questions on the monthly report? Okay. I always like to remind you to, on this chart, you see the smaller number below the percentage number. Those are your enrollment numbers for the district and for each school. But as I look at it from a shorter term from throughout the week, those are some of the numbers I'm seeing this week. They've been better the 3 weeks we've been back since Christmas. But that's some of the things I don't think you have that in your packet, but I just wanted to share in comparison what we're seeing. Any questions?
All the elementaries are doing excellent.
Yes, yes. But then periodically they'll pop up and they'll have a small bout of illness, and we're fighting through that this year.
Yeah.
So much better than last year and the year before last.
That's right, we're back. Yeah.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blake must be giving donuts for kids to come to school.
All right, we will move down now to our board action items. And the first item A is to consider the regular monthly meeting dates and times for the 23 calendar year. KRS 61.820.
So you all have that list in your packet. We've had to adjust some of the dates because of new superintendent training or KSBA conference. Like we were trying to keep it on Thursday, but sometimes we had to shift that around. And so those are the dates that we have for this coming year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Johar.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the regular monthly meeting dates and times for the 23 calendar year, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. We'll move down now to item B, and that's to consider job posting for speech language therapists. Ms. Kelly.
Good evening, and I'm coming to you tonight to let you know that, once again, our numbers of students in the district who require speech language therapy are rising, and we have nearly 600 students currently who receive this service, and we have a long list of students who are in the process of being referred and evaluated in the spring semester. And then as we creep toward our screenings, for incoming kindergartners, that number will rise again. So typically this time of year, we try to cover that with some type of contracted service, but at this point, we're at their limit that we do need to look at an additional position. So for that reason, I am asking for an additional speech language pathology position.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. All right, I have a second by Mr. Johar. All in favor of considering the job posting for a speech language therapist, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none.
How many do we have now?
594.
I mean, speech therapists, how many do we have?
Oh, sorry, 10.
Oh, what?
594. 10.
10, okay.
So we actually have one that's taking a leave. Yeah, we have one on a leave, and so there's a little bit of movement happening there.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, like
That'd be great. 594 speech therapists. That'd be awesome.
you were asking like a bank auditor.
All right, item C is to consider second reading of KSBA Board Policy 08.1132. Ms. Browning.
This is just the second reading on the hardship graduation policy. So I'm just bringing that to you tonight for approval, and after, if it is approved, we'll get in contact with KSBA, get it put on our website, and we can start applying that policy to students that are in need.
Okay. Graduation is a hardship, isn't it? All right, I'll make a motion to consider the second reading.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of considering the second reading of the board policy, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And item D is to approve memorandum of agreement with Western Kentucky University's College of Health and Human Services and Kentucky Emergency Medical Services Academy.
They contacted me probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a lady that I'm working with on this, and I hadn't done this, so I wanted to have a little bit more information about what they were asking. And this is a renewal of a memorandum that we've had in place before. But basically, I said, well, tell me exactly what we're doing here, because I haven't been involved. But basically what it is in their program, if there are students that need a little bit of field experience, they can request to come to Muhlenberg County because maybe that's where they want to be, or they're from here. It's a little bit easier for them to do some of those clinicals or whatever here. And it would really only entail them maybe shadowing a nurse, maybe hearing or vision tests or something like that. So this memorandum of agreement is to allow those students, if they request to come to Muhlenberg County, to do those things.
Okay. I make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bard. All in favor of approving the memorandum of agreement with WKU, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Thank you. All right, we'll move down to item E, and this is the Comprehensive District Plan Review and Approval. Mr. Perkins.
Thank you, Chairman Rager and board members. As you recall, each year districts and schools across the state develop comprehensive improvement plans to guide their planning for the school year. These plans are based on the data received from state testing and are inclusive of numerous goals, strategies, and activities to support school improvement and, most importantly, student achievement. The value of a sound comprehensive plan lies in its ability to be changed as the need arises. Plans sometimes need to be only slightly amended or revised due to changing goals or practices. With input from the Planning Committee, the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan has been revised and updated to include new goals that reflect the district's overall performance based upon the accountability model for this school year. The goals of the CDIP are based on an analysis of disaggregated data from multiple sources. Revisions have been made to each school's comprehensive plan as well to address the needs identified by multiple measures in order to establish goals that will bring each school into compliance during this transition period for the Kentucky Department of Education and have been approved by each school's SBDM council. The Comprehensive School Improvement Plans and the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan have all been updated and submitted through the eProve platform to the Kentucky Department of Education. If you have any questions, I know there was a lot of material in your packets. I'd be happy to either go into that now or at another time.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have a lot of help.
Make a motion for no.
Have a motion by Mr. Johar. Second by Ms. Bard. All in favor of the Comprehensive District Plan review and approval, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. Thank you.
Thank you.
And item F is to approve resolution to issue bonds for the cafeteria expansion at the Muhlenberg County High School. Mr. Blutzinger.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Rager. This is the second half of the Finance Corporation meeting, basically. This is to approve the resolution of the issuing of $1.1 million in special obligation bonds. And I'm going to read this resolution as well. The resolution of the Board of Education of Muhlenberg County, Kentucky, authorizing and approving the execution of a lease agreement with the Muhlenberg County School District Finance Corporation and any further necessary instruments, approving certain architect's plans for the construction of a certain school building project, authorizing and approving the execution of a supplement to the continuing disclosure procedures and the execution of tax compliance procedures, and approving the plan of financing the cost of said project. What I do want to add is that we are bonding this. We do have the cash on hand. However, in my predictive models, I feel more comfortable having bonding this for just future cash flows. It's not going to, the good part about this is that in the beginning, the bond payments are significantly lower. In a couple of years, we will have approximately $300,000 in bond payments rolling off. And then by the time this one would actually mature to where we'd be making larger bond payments, additional bond payments will have rolled off. So thus freeing up more capital to make these payments. So I wanted to do this for this project in order to preserve cash flow, and I think it was a smart financial move.
All right, any questions? I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Ms. Bard.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the resolution to issue bonds for the cafeteria expansion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And we'll move down to item G to approve the revised BG for cafeteria project.
This is basically, I think, the 500th iteration of the BG for the cafeteria project. This basically adds the additional funding source of the bonds for the cafeteria project on this BG.
Any questions? Need a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Johar. Second. Second by Ms. Wells. All in favor of approving the revised BG1 for cafeteria project, please say aye. Aye. Aye.
What's the timeline on cafeteria now?
The switch gear that was supposed to be ordered January 6th is now slated to be, sorry, let me step back. Shipped on January 6th is now slated to be shipped in early February. The tiling is going in right now into the kitchen portion. Once that is complete, they'll be able to add all the equipment into the kitchen. I know all the fire suppression, insulation, ceiling tile material, everything is done there. They're putting in the railings right now around the outside of that. completing the steps and the additional steps that we approved just for an additional egress, which is, I think, is a smart addition at this point. And then really all we'll be waiting on after all that is said and done is that 400 amp service that was ordered in April, and it's nationwide. It's not
It is.
Yeah, it's not something that's isolated to just Kentucky or anything. It is nationwide. People
ordered from last April?
Yeah, we ordered it in last April. As soon as you all approved that, I contacted our architect that night and said order it. And so it's been ordered since then.
And what is this?
It's a 400 amp electrical service. So like in your house, you've got the boxes, the breaker boxes. This is just a larger one for the school cafeteria, and it's just it's near impossible to get.
Supply chain.
So
stuff.
And we even tried to look at saying, okay, if we paid an additional amount, like, can you get it sooner? Which is kind of highway robbery anyway. But there's nothing that we could do. They've looked and looked and looked. So
that's what Mr. Rose told me Tuesday.
It's unfortunate. I mean, they looked at trying to split it, doing different ways of just different methods, and it has to be this because even the other stuff wouldn't come in either. So
fire codes and everything else.
And that's beyond my electrical knowledge, but I mean, they've looked at everything they could do, and it's just not working to our advantage. So.
So do we have a timeline now when it will be in, or?
Like I said, it's supposed to be shipped on early February.
Okay, that was the February. Okay.
Once the tiling's done, it'll take a couple weeks to get all the equipment placed in there.
Hopefully by then.
Yeah, like the equipment right now is sitting in a warehouse in Shelbyville, and there are only 2 additional pieces of equipment that would not fit in Shelbyville. That as soon as the tiling gets to like about a week out, they're going to let them know, hey, ship this down, and they're going to start bringing equipment in.
So forget this year, right?
I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic.
Good answer, Eric. Good answer for the evening.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
All right.
What can you say? You can't say nothing. You can't do nothing.
All right. Oh, we already did. So, all right, we'll move down to item H now to approve the 2024 draft budget.
All right, thank you again, Chairman Rager. I know Ms. Ramsey has left, but I tried to put it back up here and see if we can successfully do my slides again. All right, so in review, every time we do a budget, we look at budget considerations, we look at the revenues, and then we will look at expenses. When we do a budget, we always look at stewardship. We want the public to know that we are good stewards with their funds, that we are not reckless in what we do, that everything is a controlled and calculated thing that we want to do, that also that we're looking into the future. That's something that I want to stress a lot, is that I look into the future, not just next year or anything like that. Any recommendations I make are for 5 years out, because I already know what's going to happen in the next couple of years in terms of revenues and expenses. We want to think about recruitment and retention. What is it going to cost to keep good employees, to recruit them to our district, and also to retain them, especially we want to be able to retain people into the future. And revenue changes over time, which is significant for our district, as TVA is going to significantly affect what happens to our revenues. And then major projects that are needed, and any maintenance issues. So the revenue line item notables, it's just decreases right now. As we did, the beginning balance decreased a little by about $3 million. And that was just an adjustment based off of audits, and then, the previous beginning balance was predicted off of older numbers, so we just had to adjust that based on that. TVA, $6 million. The check, we did receive that this month, and it was about 6.2 million. And we had expected, they told us that there was sales were going to be higher and that we should expect more, and it's right in line with what we received. They also told our district that the structures would not be torn down between 3 and 5 years, and that was a year and a half ago, and cooling towers have already been torn down. So we're watching those numbers very closely. We're also, Ms. Orr and I also have a meeting with TVA on Monday, that we will be meeting with TVA and the Department of Revenue and also our state legislators to discuss what TVA is doing, how that's going to affect us. In the beginning, when they initially came to us about some of the decrease in revenue, Mr. Davis and I were discussing with our legislators of trying to figure out some sort of legislation that may help districts like ours or any other district that may see a large loss in TVA revenue, that decrease in revenue occurs gradually over time and not in a one-time situation, which is what we were facing originally. And that's something where I've discussed it with KDE and those sorts of things, and I challenged KDE to tell any other district to cut 10% out of their budget immediately and see their reaction. So that's something that we've had that talk with. SEEK is reduced by 1.56 million. This is something where, especially when I work with Brent, on the population of each school and where attendance is. So the enrollment, daily membership, they're trying to get legislation to shift the SEEK formula into calculating it off of average daily membership. So, because we have to staff based on enrollment, not off of ADA. And so that's something that we push every time. So, it's not necessarily just because you're paying us based on ADA, we still have to staff the buildings based on enrollment, which is always higher. So that's something that we are also going to be talking with, that I started talking with our legislator. I talked with, Mr. Rager, thank you, about as well. Thank you, appreciate that. So general fund revenues, this includes the beginning balance, was about 62.57 million. Local revenue is about 15.4 million. State revenue, which includes SEEK, is about 18.4. On behalf payments, we include those in every budget. It's a non-cash item that's no cash goes out, no cash comes in. We do have to record that. That's what the state pays on behalf of the district for benefits. Beginning balance is 16.873, and miscellaneous revenue is at 300,000, and Medicaid is at, we budget 200,000, but Julie's team manages to go above that every year. So we do use those funds smartly as well, where when special education or something to that effect needs a high cost item, we take it from those funds, and it helps cover those costs and not hit general funds. So I'm really proud of what her team does to help with that. Expense line item notables. I increased salary expense by 1.5%. That is to account for step raises that occur every year and any changes that might occur with pension and those sorts of things. So that's salary expense includes gross salary as well as the benefits that are involved, the taxes and anything else. So we increase those just as a blanket, just to kind of give a little bit safer in that area. Then this is one thing that we are going to be, we've been working with schools individually to determine their needs. Ms. Orr and I have discussed with principals, because you'll notice that this year there was not a needs assessment item that was on your agendas. I've discussed with KDE exactly what that was for them, and they said, well, it should be part of your CDIP. Well, that gets turned in otherwise, so it's not an additional thing. So what Ms. Orr and I decided to do was have an honest discussion with our principals and say, hey, let's talk about the things that you need that are non-staff related, and what can we do as a district looking at expenses and moving forward. So I didn't really shift a lot of those expenses around for the draft budget. I want to bring that to you on the tentative budget because I want to look at it and say, okay, what have we spent this year? Not the one-off expenses and those sorts of things. What are the additional items that we've started to implement this year and said, okay, where can we get those expenses? Can we take from other areas that are not being used as much? And then say, can we provide some of the requests that the principals have and include those in that tentative budget. So I think that's where you're really going to see a lot of your different expenses occur. So with that said, we really hadn't changed a lot of expenses except with the salary expense. And then obviously, just what I said, we're going to be finding those areas, like for instance, software. We're looking at software costs. What can we do to decrease other, are there software items that are not being used, get rid of them, and those sorts of things. General fund expenditures, instruction is at 32.7 million. Contingency is at about 8.4 million. Community services, 310,000. Food service operations out of general fund, mind you, this is 50,380. Transportation is about 4.7 million. Plant operations and maintenance is about 7.5. Business support services, 1.3. School admin support is 2.9. District admin support is 2.2. Instructional support service is about 994,000, and student support services 1.5 million. Committed funds, again, those amounts always, we determine those during the tentative budget because we have a better idea of what they will be for the year. Major renovation items, should we identify any additional ones that we need to have to put funds aside for. And then expansion, consolidation, really it'll be more focused towards consolidation, and then retirement commitment. Are there any questions?
A few years ago, we had Mr. Fleming come and kind of update us on some anticipated future needs of our district. I know some of those, especially like the HVAC system at the high school and things like that. We've already completed those projects, but I don't know if there's any way that if he would maybe have an updated list for us now moving forward, above and beyond, or any discoveries in the time that he reported to us the last time.
Absolutely.
We can kind of, be knowing ahead
I do
of
work
time.
with him on that as well to try to say, okay, what roofs are looking to be, because we did Longest at one point, and then we moved on, did both of the roofs over the gym, so.
Right. And the other thing, we used to do prior to COVID, we would meet with our SBDMs and they would give us their needs assessments. And of course, with COVID, we've not been able to do that, and kind of see what their ideas are in their individual schools, which is pretty much kind of what you're talking about. But it would be kind of nice to maybe get a individualized list from each one of those two on kind of what they're looking at for their schools and cost-wise.
And what about the recent flooding? Is there an update on that?
Well, absolutely, there is. So we did have pipes burst at, there was the fire suppression system burst at the entrance in Central City Elementary, to the gym, the entrance to the gym at Central City Elementary, in the office at South Middle, which housed all of my aviation club kids' models that they're working on, so they kind of got wet. But they were all recovered, so we were happy about that. But there was a lot of water that went down into the gym at South Middle, and that was tested, and they have deemed it that they're going to replace that floor. Central City Elementary, it had OSB underneath the original floor that they had down there, which is a sponge, basically. So they recommended that we tear that out immediately. We went, I was with the gentleman that did all that testing. We cut a hole about halfway down the gym, and there was standing water halfway down the gym underneath the bleachers. And so in the entrance at Central City Elementary's gym is kind of opposite that, and so there was water there. And at South Middle, there was still about 23% moisture on the far side of the floor, so that's why they said we're just going to deem it a total tear out. I talked with Tommy Middleton today, actually, and they're working to get Central City as quickly as possible. I think, did you have materials delivered today?
We've had wood, not the hardwood for the floor. That's supposed to be delivered tomorrow.
But you have plywood there.
Yes.
Yeah, so plywood's there right now, but they expect to have the flooring delivered, and that'll have to acclimatize for
what a beautiful floor you had, huh? I know, I remember that.
So the nice thing about this is that I'm really excited about, that the adjuster was really good about, is that he's calling it one incident. So all 3 schools are calling it one incident, so the deductible is one deductible. We're not having to pay 3 separate deductibles, so that's fantastic. And then the only other school that had something burst was at the high school, but that was pretty much localized into the office, and it was a smaller pipe that burst, so not nearly as much. So.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the 2024 draft budget.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Johar.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bard.
We gotta approve, we talked for so long.
All in favor of approving the 2024 draft budget, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. We're down now to our board consent agenda items. This includes the approval of the minutes of the prior board meeting, considering leave of absence requests, considering facilities use, considering fundraising requests, and field trip requests. Everybody's had a chance to look at all of that in their packets. Are there any questions regarding any of these items?
This one needs a date change. I'll give that to you.
All right, there's one on the leave of absence that needs a date. And on if we could get with the person, I'll show you. And then, anything else? All right. I need a motion to approve the board consent agenda items.
Make a motion to approve.
A motion by Ms. Wells.
Nope.
And second by you. Sorry. My brain and my ears and my hand are on opposite. All in favor of approving the board consent agenda items, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none. And we're down to adjournment. Need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Bard. Second by Mr. Bowers. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none, and we're adjourned.